Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast of For the Recently Deceased. Is that the name of the show?
Yeah, it's a four, not an of.
Yeah,
Switch those
for
letters.
for
Add an
the
R.
podcast for the recently deceased. I'm Nate Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. How are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good. Obviously a little confused, but we're getting there.
Yeah, but look, I mean, you know, I've been thinking, referencing the wonderful Beetlejuice, which does have a sequel coming, right?
I believe so.
Um,
Unfortunately,
we'll see. Time will tell.
that
But in the spirit of things, the podcast, I think we need to get back to maybe some of the roots of this recently deceased. I want to try to give people that are just joining the fold of the horror genre and listening to podcasts or watching people talk about these movies, we know, okay? And so we let us be your guide, your podcast slash handbook, if you will, to enter the genre prepared and uh, well informed to know how to approach the material that we are talking about. So, without further ado, if
you may.
I may, we bring to you tonight a VHS 85. Unveiled through a made-for-TV documentary, 5 tales of found-footage horror emerge to take viewers on a terrifying journey into the grim underbelly of the 1980s. For those that do not know, VHS movies are anthology tales that have several writers and directors. We'll showcase a few here. Written, directed David Bruckner, main director of this whole feature. Scott Derrickson, Natasha Kermani. Written Robert C. Cargill, or C. Robert Cargill. I thought it was Robert C. Cargill. Doesn't matter. Zoe Cooper, Scott Derrickson, starring a handful of people. There's too many people to name in these kinds of things, and so I apologize for any writer slash director that we didn't mention there short. That's what they do. The very first VHS, I can't remember when it came out, Nate. I want to say early 2000s. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
2012. No, mid. Wow, 2012 was the first
2012?
VHS. Holy gosh, time is
Well, yeah,
flying.
because the 2000s was like the decade of
Yeah,
just like trash
garbage.
horror. Yeah.
Right. So, for any people that have not had the privilege of watching any VHS movies, it's a collection with a veil of a story, background story happening, but then there's VHS tapes that are played in some kind of manner or presented in some kind of reason that works in a found footage sense. And they're all written and directed by different teams and compiled and composed for your viewing pleasure. So you do need to have an affinity for low budge horror and the old analog type of viewing system. So I think that these probably have a hard time reaching today's youths, I would assume, because even for me, there's times when the grain and static of a VHS tape just gets effing annoying,
Uh,
and you don't want to see it.
yeah, especially when it's not authentic and it's
Right.
and it's a
It's
generated
the
effect. So
film
yeah,
grain, right?
like there were
A
moments.
Photoshop, a
Yeah,
filter.
there were moments in '85 where I was like, okay, guys,
Yeah, tone it down. I get it. It's a
yeah,
fucking tape.
we got it. We got it. We've been watching these. This is like the sixth one or the fifth one. Like,
I don't know. It could be more, I think, dude,
yeah,
because there was a viral and another one that I did not watch. So, yeah, man, VHS 85. Let me give my rundown. I
yeah.
think VHS 85 is a reinvigorating uh, eh, gem in the most recent explorations of this format. I think that the people that directed some of the features did an excellent job. This is the first time, perhaps, I could be corrected here, that one tale ties into another, and they were in fact written and directed by the same people. But you didn't know that at first, and that was amazing to see. And they build. There's one that's excruciatingly.
Whoop, Rodney, we lost you. You still got
I'm.
us?
Oh,
Oh, you're back now.
yeah, I still have
You're
you.
back
All
now.
right, I'm back. I'm just gonna assume you heard all that. It
No, we
was
didn't hear any of it.
none of anything I said.
The last like two sentences, like the
Oh,
big description you
yes.
had there.
This had one of the best builds where you're completely despising this short and you can't wait for the short to end, but then they pull it out of the bag and you love it maybe more than any of the other ones with the grotesque violence that they enact by the end of it. It all culminates in an overarching story that is like a nice little finish, a little dessert that you weren't really asking for, but they said, "Hey, it's on the house tonight, and so enjoy it." VHS 85 was a welcome respite in the horror journey that I've been on this year. I felt really good about it. VHS 85 is going to get a. Uh, I feel like I want to say like 7.5 or 8.5, but it's not an 8.5. It's a 7 for me. Okay, so I don't have a fun pun for the VHS 85. No alliterative type prose from Rod Steer tonight, but it's a 7. It's really good. You should watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
Hold on.
I'm gonna jump right in and say that it was
Do
definitely
it. Water's fine.
fresh. It definitely felt good to watch. Um, I'm gonna say that I didn't come in as hot as you did on this movie, and I think it's because
Uh,
the found footage crutch of the VHS series is kind of getting a little too hard to stand.
I mean,
like found footage, thanks to because of VHS specifically, because there's so many vignettes that you've kind of done it all, right? So this one is kind of like, all right, I'll stop there.
no, you're
No,
fine.
no, 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 no.
I know. I like to gesture
I want to
during.
no, no, no. I want to talk about
You want to?
the
Yeah.
I want to talk
Okay.
about the stories. So that's the spoiler section of
All
the
right.
show.
Where are you coming? What did you
So
land on with the VHS 85?
so real quick, some good gore, a couple really good stories, a couple duds, but the duds were still better than '94. So really good coming off of '94. I gave VHS 85 a 6 out of 10.
Oh,
So
yeah. We're not
I
that
was right
dissimilar.
there. I was right there. I was right
I'm just going back through the wiki to make sure we get the titles for the movies accurate.
there. Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
But look, uh, you bring up a good point. I'm kind of over the the series as a whole. Um, and to be honest, the only reason that I was interested in maybe watching this because I kind of had heard some good things. I heard a few people say like, "Hey, this is reinvigorating the franchise of VHS." I was like, "Oh, well, that's good." And then I remember seeing Scott Derrickson's name on it, Robert Cargill, both from The Black Phone,
Yep.
um, and what's his name, Bruckner, being a lead producer or director on it, both, I think. And listen, when you make The Night House, I will watch everything that you do after. I definitely hated Hellraiser, but I still love David Bruckner. Everyone's allowed to have a night where they just, you get shit faced, you say really stupid things, and you embarrass yourself.
You want to take a little sidebar. I
Ooh,
heard
yeah, the sidebar.
I heard the reason that Hellraiser was so bad.
Okay, let's hear it.
So a company,
It's not his fault.
some company, because I haven't looked into it. This is just the story.
Okay.
Owns the rights to Hellraiser.
Yes.
Um, who did the original Hellraiser? Was it? It wasn't Carpenter, was it? It wasn't
No, it was
Carpenter.
fucking what's his
Oh,
face.
whatever. He
I
hey
feel bad because I
yeah
should know this, but
yeah
go
we
on.
should know this. Um,
Yeah, Clive Barker.
Clive
Right.
Barker. Clive Barker.
So-
Clive
Sorry,
Barker is
idiot.
super pissed that he
Giving
can't
my
get his
core
hands
badge.
on Hellraiser.
Okay.
So every couple of years, they have to make a new Hellraiser movie in order to keep the
To continue
to
to own
keep
it,
the
to keep him out of
license.
it.
Yeah, to keep the license. And so
Really?
this Hellraiser movie apparently was just like a last minute. They shot it over a weekend, just pump it and dump it uh, to keep the license. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Mm,
That's what I heard.
that sounds odd, but I mean, because I feel like it's been a long time since the last installment. I know that they've done a lot of garbage
No,
sequels.
there's a lot of them. There's so many.
Huh. Okay.
There's got to be
All
like
right.
9 or 10. There's so many.
Well, yeah. At this point, VHS is encroaching upon those numbers.
Right, right,
Um. So let's hear. Okay. So there's the overarching story that occurs in
right.
all of them, and in that one is called total copy. Yeah, total copy. Okay.
All right.
So there's that one that
That
kind of counts,
that was
and then
the kids who went to the lake.
no.
No,
That's the overarching story, the documentary
the
of
document about
this
the
dude in
alien.
the science lab. Yeah.
Rory, Rory.
Yes, Rory Culkin. But no, the movies. No Wake, number one. God of Death, number two. Techno God, number three. And again, it's like TKN OGD, but it's like Techno God.
Sure.
Ambrosia, number four, and Dreamkill, number five. You said two stinkers. I want to know the stinkers in your.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. So the names are not going to help me at all. So we had.
One, two, three, four, five. Okay, use numbers.
I don't know.
Numbers.
I don't know. I don't remember the order. I remember.
Okay. One of us have seen this very, very recently. Nate. Okay, so do you remember what you had for lunch?
I remember Kids at the Lake. Loved it.
Yes, that's the
And
first
then
one. No way. Yes.
and then
Okay.
the bar mitzvah girl is as the part two. Loved it, right? So those two
Yeah.
thumbs up, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So then I remember the goth moron with the
The goth
videotapes.
kid, Gunther.
Yep.
Gunther.
Uh,
Yep.
that one was almost a complete stinker until the fucking Terminator style action sequence at the end, which was fantastic.
Oh, the hall with
The
the
hallway,
roses
yeah,
and the
the
shotgun.
hallway,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
you're gonna do a shot,
T2
yeah,
sequence.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Um, what else was there? Was there? Oh, well,
God of
there's.
Death was the Spanish, the Mexico one. The
Oh yeah,
Mexico earthquake.
terrible, unwatchable.
No hablo español for Nate, though.
Hablo español.
And then Techno God.
And which one's that?
That's the one with the only POC in the series. So let's save it. Uh, Performance art.
Oh, the performance art one. Yeah. Okay. Was also very bad. I liked. I did like the ending. When they
But
take.
that's what saves it, Nate.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a
Yeah.
10.
When they take the mask off, even and the eyeballs are there, like just excellent prosthetics there. Yeah, really really good work. Um, and then the Rory story. It was okay. The ending
Sure.
was the ending's the only good part, and the joke of the jazzercising I thought was cute. Uh,
It was great. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There you go.
I think that you're dead on as far as well, you were like meh with Dreamkill, but then you hated God of Death and Techno God.
Yeah.
I will say yes. I think No Wake and Ambrosia, the union story that occurs in this thing were excellent. Because look, it's found footage.
Yeah.
Okay, so found footage has a certain lane. You need to know how to approach it or how to appreciate it, and I think that these films do a decent job of keeping the veil of the mystique of why footage is occurring or how it's being composed or how it's being presented or why they're still filming under certain contexts. It makes sense in almost all of these, which is more than I can say for the most recent found footage darlings of the past 12 months, those being Stinkamarink and the Outwaters.
Oh my god.
So this is actual
The
found footage.
Outwaters did get double the score of Skinnamarink.
Sure. Yes. A 1 and a 2.
Yes.
It did double.
They did.
2 times 0.
Yeah.
Yes. It's still 0.
It's still 0.
So these films kind of like at least celebrate the genre and the roots of it. You know, if you've seen the Blair Witch Project, then you know what you should be expecting or looking for. And these films execute it well. They're obviously shorts, but they're fantastic.
Yeah,
I disagree. I enjoyed every aspect of each of these. I think that if I were to rate them, I agree that No Wake in Ambrosia, the lake party, and then the what you call the bat mitzvah,
yeah,
the coming out party were excellent. They were fun,
yeah.
surprising.
They were
The way
so
that they
good.
tied together was very
Yeah,
unique. Excellent. I agree. They were the highlight.
I would say I like
But
Techno God a little more than the
Techno God I loved because it's like it's I mean, again, it's probably because of my art world
and
past, right?
it's the exact opposite for me. As soon as it started, I was like, I fucking hate performance art.
I know, but I hated it too. I'm like, Maria Abramovich, I don't care. I don't want to see whatever this is, but I love that there was an audience and you got to see some of their reaction, like where they're sitting, like, well, I guess I'm supposed to watch this, or I guess I have to like this, or it makes sense. And you see some of their faces and expressions where there's like they don't know how to approach it because maybe they're students and they're studying this art form and they're just as lost as everyone else in the fucking world, unless you've got this PhD in whatever niche type thing that you're trying to speak of as a performance artist. What you're saying is absolutely fucking stupid and no one cares. It has no value.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
So
totally
whenever
agree.
she's going and doing all this stuff, like I have to summon the techno god, and she's like all in with her naivete about who this person is that doesn't really exist because she knows it's not real. And then she's going through this dream glove and they're talking about iPhones. And I was like, what? You're talking about iPhones? Like, so it's just like a weird alternate universe? You know, it's 80s. Like, this is kind of cool. It started like, things started to move a little bit inside me. And then by the time it gets to like, I'm realizing, oh shit, there's gonna be a fucking techno god. Yes. And I was like, yes, please. Please do what I think you're gonna do. And then it fulfills on the promise in the most out of this world insane way, throwing her around the stage where no one gets to see what's actually happening. It's this demon type entity in the screen, and then tearing her limb by limb, chopping off hand, fucking gloving her leg where your sinew and bone
Yeah,
is exposed, chopping the other leg off, and she's laying there. And then, like, dude, everything about that little short was just so like it saved itself. Just when I thought you couldn't get any dumber, you saved that
yeah.
short. I loved because of that alone. Like, and it was worth it. It was like it was such a tease. Like, you're hating this, hating this, hating this, hating this. We're gonna make you hate it because this is dumb.
Yeah,
And then it
you
pulls out of
you
that where you see her get completely wrecked.
you sold the dog
It's so satisfying.
you sold the dog van for the moped.
Yeah.
Totally redeemed yourself.
Yes. It's fantastic. It was so perfectly pulled it out of the bag. God of Death, I can see it. I agree. It was neutral, but it was still cool. And Dream Kill, I actually liked Gunther. Gunther's story I thought was cool. I don't know, man. I
I
loved a
loved how
lot
it
about
ended.
it.
Yeah,
Gunther was just so ridiculous of a character to have in that short, that he was sort of like speaking through or interpreting these dreams, right?
yeah.
And they just somehow made their way onto the film, or that was just his dream and then he filmed it. I don't remember how it actually
No, no,
happened. I
no.
think he just
It stayed very surreal too. Like it
yes,
goes to the car where the detective, you know, is
because it's the father.
grilling the guy, and then he gets shot in the face. But then it goes right back to Gunther, and then there's this big showdown in the police station where everybody's getting shot and killed, and it's cutting back and forth from film grain to not film grain, and then
Yeah,
security cam to not security cam,
CCTV.
and you're
Yep.
just it was kind of all over the place, and I'm just like, okay, well, I mean, this is fun to watch, but like the story's kind of lost me, and that's okay.
Yeah, it was hard to follow a little bit. It was doing a lot. But I think that was one of the ones that was done by the guys that did the Black Phone, and so a lot of those grainy, pulling up next to the house, looking at the house, entering the house, and doing whatever, I could see being really similar
Yeah.
to a lot of what was shot and done in the Black Phone,
Now
just from like the handheld perspective.
I did like the actor who played the detective from that story. He
Oh,
was
sure, yeah, he seemed old school type.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The way he delivered it seemed like an '80s actor
Very like
that didn't really
80s,
care much.
yeah, very 80s
Yeah.
detective. Had the hair slicked back.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
fucking Tom Skerritt or something.
yeah,
Like
Tom
he's
Skerritt
gonna
or
be in
yeah,
season of the witch.
Tim
Sure.
Atkins or yeah, Tom
Yeah,
Atkins.
Tom Atkins is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom Atkins. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It was entertaining, and from a franchise that I really thought was not gonna do it for me again. I
Yes.
think that this kind of sold me again. But I think it's also because the people that they brought on board,
Yeah.
these were big names that did a lot of these features,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
so with that comes, you know, a better hand.
sure, sure. Yeah, for me, it's the movie was fine. Do I suggest you watch it? Yeah, it was good. As far as anthology movies go, like they're just not. They just don't hold up compared to, Trick or Treat, and Trick or Treat Two just got greenlit. So like, I'm super excited for that. Um,
Yeah,
even
you like.
even even to go so far as to like Creep Show and
Yeah, of course.
all the way back to like Cat's Eye, which is arguably not that good of a movie, but like just the way they handle anthology better because it's not from the found footage frame. They get to do more. They get to be better stories. They because it's easier to tell them. You know, I'm not shitting on found footage. I'm saying it's hard. It's hard to tell an evocative found footage story because you're stuck in
Yeah.
that device. So kudos to everyone who does it well. As we bring kudos back for the third time.
It's a like a oatmeal bar, a
Yeah,
little snack bar. Remember
yeah,
they had Budos bars? Do you remember those?
yeah. Kudos.
You do, right?
I
Or
do.
you're not
Yeah,
just shitting
I'm
me?
not fucking with you.
Okay. I'm not lying. Yeah, that's a real thing.
I wouldn't fuck around about
Shit.
granola.
There was why you started talking about uh, you started talking about found footage, and I was like, oh, I want to mention this found footage, and it escaped me. There was one that you didn't mention that I thought
Yeah.
like
Well,
deserved attention.
uh, what not Dashcam, but the other one, Deadstream. This film
Oh,
is
Deadstream,
not.
so good. Oh, I remember what it is. Look, the last year had a lot of found footage that hit us, and some were amazing. Deadstream was amazing, and I will say, Dashcam is effing incredible. If you can get over, Deadstream has a hard protagonist to accept and to be on board with, but I think it's still palatable for most people. Conversely, Dashcam is a polarizing figure that you really might hate that person and just cannot watch it. But I think that they're both excellent. Dashcam is just a little bit below Deadstream. But no, the movie I was thinking of is right at the season's end. What's it called? Scare Package. Scare Package
Oh,
2 came
Scare
out last
Package.
year.
Yeah.
And you didn't see Scare Package 2 yet, right?
No,
But
I
I
didn't.
told you about
I
it.
didn't see it.
Oh, you saw Scare Package 2?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. 2 was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great.
The beer pong scene.
Yeah.
Scare Package 2 is excellent, guys. Go see Scare Package 2. This is
Scare
wonderful as
Package
well.
1
But
is also
Scare
excellent. I mean, they're
It
both
is,
great
but 2
movies.
takes it to the next level with the comedic value of what it's doing and some of its horror elements. Uh, our guy that was from The Leech, the priest,
Yeah.
he's in a
Love that guy.
bodysuit in Scare Package 2, and he's fabulous. He's the one that's excellent at the beer pong. It's just such a good uh, anthology series. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the 80s vibe, that part, it loses me a little bit, but I like the authenticity of it, in that it forces them to try to work within the rules, because that's one of the biggest things that I
Well,
hate about found footage is that they violate certain things that make no sense,
that's another thing.
a la Outwaters and
Yeah,
Skinamarink.
that's another thing about this film that I think is in the win column
Skinamarink isn't
is
really
that
filmed. Yeah.
it doesn't really play on any of the 80s tropes. Almost every story
Right.
was just casually set in
Well,
the 80s. Just like here it is. It
yeah,
just happens to
it's
be
the
the
setting is
80s.
the
Like
80s,
it
right?
just happens to be the 80s. There was no like they weren't like making references. They weren't flowing
Right.
neon all over the place. Like because it's found footage, like it was, it's, mostly grounded in
Uh,
reality, right?
feel I feel targeted
Yeah.
right now.
I-
I appreciate that.
yeah. This
Um,
isn't Christmas
yeah,
Bloody
man.
Christmas.
Go.
This is VHS 85. I love that movie.
Is a wonderful, like I said, a wonderful little respite,
Yeah.
little oasis on our desert journey
the
a la
desert, the
Moses.
desert tour of 2023.
I
Uh,
used Oasis in a sentence with some eighth graders recently, and I don't think they had ever heard the word. They were very confused, but that, you know.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, I said Pearl Jam, and they were like, "Who?" Okay, it's fine. So VHS 85, I gave it a 6.
A 7 for VHS 85 from Rodney.
And for the podcast, for the recently deceased, I'm Nate Roberts,
I'm Rodney Godek. Take care.
and we'll see you next time.